Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers.
I'm the Leggetter.
And today we welcome back
Sam Mandi Ghomi. Nice to meet everyone again.
It's a pleasure to have you. And today we're talking about the seminal musical classic. The seminal, the terminal. Talking about the terminal.
I love the terminal.
I know you do. What was the one where it was Michael Douglas and he was on the run and it had a very similar name to the terminal and it came out the Sentinel. That's it. And it was like, what are all these stupid names?
The Centimoo.
Was that? I think it was Michael and Catherine Zeta. Or maybe I'm just pulling that out of thin air. Okay.
Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Didn't Michael Douglas get throat cancer from going down on Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Yeah, so basically it wasn't
What a world.
It wasn't Catherine Zeta-Jones, it was Kim Basinger and Ava Longoria.
Just anyone
anybody but Catherine Zeta-Jones. He basically, in the biggest drop the mic move of all time, he said that his doctor told him that his throat cancer was from going down on too many women, giving too much cunnilingus.
Even if that like is a real thing, which I'm sure there's some sort of scientific facts behind that. Like a doctor says anything like that, and you're immediately putting it out into the world. I don't care. You know what I mean? Doctor says anything.
My dad, Kirk Douglas. Yeah, that's his. He was all his life. He's been looking for a way to one up his dad, and he finally got it. You never got throat cancer from cunnilingus. I bet Kirk didn't. No, I bet Kirk did go down on women. Kirk was a wonderful, great.
Oh no, Kirk will have gone down on women, but he'll have just, in once again one-upping his son, just won't have got cancer because of it.
Then, what was the? Oh God, Michael Douglas, what a great guy. What was I going to say? I was going to say something about either Kirk Douglas or Elvis Presley. That was it. I think. What's her name? Sybil Shepherd from Taxi Driver. And like her go-to thing was that she would always talk about how Elvis went down on her. And like, she was just like, yeah, well, people were talking about how great their boyfriends are or whatever. And she'd go, yeah, well, Elvis went down on me. So, you know. Suitably.
Conversation. I win.
Scorsese's telling her about, okay, so this scene is, you really are scared of him, but you kind of like him. And yeah, well, Elvis went down on me. So I think I know your Taxi Driver movie. Okay, Marty. A suitably filthy opening matron, for a rather filthy, dirty, sexy, brilliant, hilarious, wonderful movie, The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Hello. You've arrived on a rather special night.
Tonight, my unconventional conventionalists
Takes its toll.
Hey.
One of the great memories of my life is in between shows. Was it the first day? Was it the first day of Footloose?
It was between the matinee and
the evening.
So we're having a good time. Keep smiling. Let's smile.
Come, we are ready for the floor show.
Oh, fantasy, free me! So you can't see me. No, not at all. In another dimension.
Society must be protected.
Before your magic turns on.
But it's the
World secluded.
Yes.
The evening.
Because the first day we watched Rocky Horror, second day we watched Samurai Cop, but that sort of fell apart. And then the third day...
Summer Heights High.
Yes, and then the third day was the barbecue that became Chinese because it started raining, torrential rain. The long story, the short story, is that all three of us were in a much celebrated, might I add, production of Footloose.
Yes.
Critically reviewed, but production of Footloose, as they call it in Germany, apparently. Footloose, and in between shows, it was 6 shows: a matinee, an evening, a matinee, an evening, a matinee, an evening, and in between, yes, and in between we would just get leathered. And on the first day, we got leathered and watched Rocky Horror, and it was marvelous. And I was drinking red wine, and that was the time you had too much red wine, wasn't it, Will?
I mean, technically, too much for me. I didn't really have that much.
Oh,
I know.
You were absolutely fucked, and we were meant to be going on stage, and you were just there like, I've had a.
Whereas I was a real Richard Burton, and it actually, I think, enhanced my evening performance. I was going to take. Go on.
I did play a drunk and abusive boyfriend.
So there we go.
If anything, it was just method.
Yes.
Not the abuse part.
Not the abuse part. And then the wonderful gent playing our coach on the final evening got far too drunk.
Yes.
And just started yelling abuse. When he came up with that baseball bat, and we were stood in the wings because we had the next scene. So it was me, the wonderfully talented, the beautiful Chelsea was playing my wife, and us three had the next scene. And so we were stood in the wings, and the coach came down, and he just started, and somebody said, "Please, I don't want to do these press-ups." And he said, "Get down, bitch!" And he started whacking them with this bat. And it was one of the great backstage moments of my life.
I loved Footloose so much.
The best part about stuff like this is that there's no real world consequences, because it's very much just an amateur production of Footloose with our college.
Yeah.
So like ultimately, it's not like anybody's lost jobs. It's not like anybody's annoyed at the price of admission. Everyone's just coming to see their kids. So,
and it made it better. I've showed people it, and some boring people.
Oh, I show everyone it on YouTube.
You get in trouble with the rights.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, you can watch it today.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link after.
Send me the link immediately. I'd completely forgotten about it, because they videoed that scene where me and you were just ad-libbing at each other, and it's
the night of the coach being really drunk and going, "Bitch, I don't care, get down," and such wonderful times. Wonderful times. And we watched Rocky Horror, and there is just something about the communal power of this film. I mean, I remember I was a very young child, and I was getting into musicals, and my mum's friend Claire, who you both know from the quizzes, Sam famously beat Claire in the final round of a quiz because it was a run to the chair music quiz game. And even though she didn't know the song and she would have lost anyway, she got very annoyed because she said, "I'm not going to beat running uni students, am I, when I'm running to a chair?" And so I had to adapt.
I believe Claire lives on my street.
She does, yes.
About 5 houses that way.
We'll get her on.
We'll get her on.
And she, for some reason, she had a VHS of Rocky Horror. And I watched Rocky Horror on a VHS when I was far too young, about 8 or 9 or something. And it just blew me away. And I didn't know what the hell was happening. My initial impression was, as a 9-year-old, that after the first half an hour, it sort of lost its way. And then I perked back up again for Touch Me. And then the final floor show, I was like, what the bloody hell's happening? And then I really got into it when I was about 12, 13, and I taped it. I saw it was on Sky or something, and I taped it. No, it was on, for some reason, it was on Christmas night at like 11 o'clock on BBC Two, and I taped it, and Boxing Day, I watched it again, and I was blown away. And I went to HMV, and I bought the CD again, I bought the DVD again, And now obviously I own the Blu-ray, and I adore this film in all its glory. I adore the stage show as well, in all that glory. Have any of us seen the stage show?
I've never seen it, but I know when I do, I'm going to get dressed up and I'm going to do all the call-outs.
I saw Danny Harmon of Tracy Beaker fame.
Oh,
as
yeah.
Janet.
As Janet?
When they yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny Harmon. For some reason, I'm thinking of a male Danny.
Oh, no, Tracy Beaker's Danny Harmon.
Actual Tracy. Oh, right.
Danny Harmon.
Yeah, she played Janet. Yeah, I believe that was at the Leeds Grand Theatre.
Oh, very posh.
14, 15. I don't know.
Have we done?
Great night.
Have we done the cinema? Have we gone to the cinema to see it?
No. Sorry, that sounded very angry.
I think I talked about on the Misery Pod. I can't remember if it was on the Misery Pod or it was before or after. I talked about in Philadelphia, in my studies in Philadelphia, and they did a screening, and I was one of the 5 people who knew some of the call-outs, and people were looking at me like a madman as I angrily shouted "asshole" and "slut" at the screen, and people were like, "Oh, what?" And there was a few dead silences. There was a few dead silences on some of the classics. On what's your favourite Lionel Richie song? And then "Hello." That got dead silence. Nobody laughed. It was a lament. It was a much lamentable, but all the time, wonderful evening. I was wearing wonderful girl Miranda's tights, and then I was wearing a top half, nice suit and tweed, and I didn't wear heels. I couldn't. I have very large feet, and
you couldn't source any heels.
So it was sort of up and down, like it was a continuing.
A hodgepodge.
A hodgepodge, yes, collection. And also I didn't have a corset either. So it was just the tights. So I really had to tuck down my shirt to avoid leaving much to the imagination, really. If somebody had a good look, I'm sure they could see a fair bit. But no, that was marvelous. Do you guys remember the first time you saw or were introduced in any facet? Well, no, obviously we're all introduced through the time warp. I mean, the time warp itself has gone beyond the film.
I can't speak for the rest of the world, but it's a British institution at this point. Do you know what I mean? You get at a party with your parents, some sort of do, as they would say. And the time warp comes on, and everybody gets involved.
Gets involved. And it's really annoying when they play the 90s club remix and not the original movie soundtrack. For some reason, that always annoys me.
I have a feeling S Club 7 will have covered it at some point.
No, it was...
They should have done. They should have done.
Great.
S Club 7 didn't do anything. Why not?
My first introduction to the Rocky Horror Picture Show was... so by this point, I was no longer watching TV's Glee.
Oh yes,
yes.
Yeah, but my sister still was, and I believe that will have aired in around 2011 or 2012.
Series 3, is it? Series 3?
It's my favorite. So. It's my favorite Glee episode. It has to be said.
But I remember my sister talking to me about it. I'm either 13 or 14 at this point, me being like, yeah, but what is it? And she had the DVD, so she was like, watch it, but I don't think you'll get what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So I watched it, naturally, had no idea what was going on, but I'll tell you this, I had a great time.
Very good.
October 26th, 2010. Elements of Rocky Horror was sanitized for the episode, including the costumes and lyrics. Creator Richard O'Brian expressed disappointment in the dilution of the musical's themes, and a spokesperson of the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation criticised the episode for its use of the term tranny.
Oh, that's not great. Because I remember they changed the lyrics in Sweet Transvestite to sensational Transylvania, which instead of transsexual Transylvania.
It's just how the terminology's changed over time.
But also, if you want to look at it if you know, they could have really got around it by just saying, well, they're not talking about, you know, identities. They're talking about the planet and the solar system, because in actuality, they're not talking about real Transylvania and declaring it as a nation of transsexuals. They're talking about a fictional, well, to all we know, it might be fictional. There may very well be a planet.
Oh yes,
the solar system. YouTube comments. I almost wish this came out in the 50s. People's reactions would have been hysterical. I mean, people's reactions in the 70s, they didn't know what to do with it. So
yeah, it won't much better. Even now, some people are still like,
as evidenced by the Glee episode we just talked about in 2010. And with pure confidence alone, Tim Curry was able to strike true terror into the hearts of every living homophobe. Such a beautifully eloquent YouTube comment.
That's quite a good comment, actually.
Yeah. I just watched this movie for the first time, and damn, I didn't think it was such a dirty sexual movie. Not sure how I felt about it. The storyline was just weird, but great singing and songs. I think that's how I felt, actually, at 10. I mean, I wasn't a prude. I wasn't disgraced by the sexuality.
I wasn't a prude.
At 10 years old, I wasn't a prude. Who is here because of Glee? There's a lot of that. Why would anyone why would anyone actually like this movie is beyond comprehension. And then somebody put, you're kidding, right? And then, because it's where people can be who they want, dumbass. And then why are you using your own time to watch the trailer? Oh, so it really
got nasty in the YouTube comments section.
We seem worse. But what was my favourite one? It was something like, I can't remember. I should keep track.
We've come across some. Yeah, we should do a ranking of our favourite YouTube comments.
YouTube comment Hall of Fame. We kick off. We did this with West Side Story. I'm willing to sort of throw out 10-minute stretch and single minute.
The best songs and stuff. Yeah.
Go down the songs. However, I'm going to keep 10-minute stretch.
I am, because certain songs that are together work very well.
To talk about the three undeniable 10-minute stretches in this film, which are Time Warp into Sweet Transvestite.
Yeah.
The triple bill of I Can Make You a Man, Sword of Damocles, Hot Patootie, I Can Make You a Man with Breeze. There's just no stopping. The funniest part is when Sword of Damocles, I Can Make You a Man finishes straight into do-do-do, do-do-do-do, do-do-do, and you're just like, well, let's just go for it.
Hey.
And then the floor show is 3 undeniable 10-minute stretches. But let's break it down. So we begin in a churchyard with Damn It, Janet. One of my sneaky favourite songs.
Yeah, I love it.
I've always enjoyed Damn It, Janet. I think it's a wonderful.
Does it not? Sorry, do we not have?
Oh, of course, no.
Feature?
Oh, I'm ashamed of myself.
I'm not a true fan.
Don't talk about that, Will. Oh yes, I am completely wrong. Sam, kick us off. Kick us off with the rightful beginning of this film, please.
Oh yeah, we open. I believe it's immediate, right?
Yes. Well, no, we have the wonderful Richard Hawley jazzed up fanfare of the 20th Century Fox logo, which I used on my infamous German video in year level. No, this was high school.
Oh, was it?
This was it was either year 5 or year 6. No, sorry, high school. So year 10 or year 11, and we had to do a video about our school. And so I thought, okay, and it all had to be in German. And me and 6 of my friends, we all got together and we were just filming skits vaguely around the German theme. And it had the longest intro ever. It had that fanfare. Then it had some of the Tarantino, 70s feature presentation stuff. And then it had a full credit sequence to 99 Love Balloons. It really was probably the finest thing I've ever edited and created. But alas, a different time. Yeah, so, and then we go into Patricia Quinn's lips and Richard O'Brien's wonderful voice singing science fiction double
singing science fiction double feature. One of the most underrated songs of this film, I will say, because it's fantastic. Because there's not a bad song in this film.
There isn't.
No, there isn't.
I actually don't think there's a bad song in the complete show. I think Once in a While, which didn't make it to the film, is another lovely song.
It's a lovely song. It's
you can see why it was cut for timings and stuff to keep the plot moving. But all the same, I think it's a lovely little ditty. And depending on which version you're watching, the US or the UK version, Superheroes isn't in the US version, which made me have a complete, not breakdown, but question my own memory and sanity when I was in Philadelphia. And I was like, wait a minute, where's the song where they're all singing on the floor? Where's Superheroes? They were like, there never was a superhero. It's like The Shining. You've always been the bartender here. And then I came home and I immediately grabbed my Blu-ray and it said UK version or US version. And I realized that in the US version, they do cut superheroes. But I think, Superheroes, another wonderfully underrated song, which we'll get to. But what a way to, what an image. What an astounding image.
What and just kind of the introduction of genre and convention throughout the entire thing. You haven't really got a clue what the song is about, but they're just talking. Oh, it's just a well-made song.
It's a really well-made film. I think this sort of gets a bit of. Some people sort of dismiss it a little bit, and there's like, oh yeah, it's a kooky and it's cult and it's like, it's like sloppy and everything, and like it was filmed in like 6 weeks or whatever. But actually, I think this is a really, really well-made film and really well edited. I mean, obviously exceptionally acted, and the music's incredible. But I think if you actually look at the bare bones script of it and the sets, the directing, and the editing, I think it's a really solid, great movie musical.
I would say, that's probably one of my, not least favourites, but the ones I go, about the stage show, because obviously that science fiction, it's just singing in front of the curtain, handing out the chocolates.
Magenta in a double role. It's Magenta in a double role as an usherette.
Yeah.
Which led to a little bit of issue when it came to the film, because Patricia Quinn didn't get to sing it again, which means that she didn't get a song other than her verse in Time Warp. So there was a bit of issue there, but then she got won over by O'Brien, a good friend, and she saw all the sets and costumes and said, well, sign me up. And so there we are. I think this works a lot better. I agree with you, Will. It's a classic image. There's no way around it. Yeah. It's the poster. It's my Blu-ray now. It's you see those lips, and unless you're a big Beckett fan, and you're like, oh well, actually, that's not I. That's Billy Whitelaw in Not I. And there were lies, and no lies, and no lies, and no lies, and the man and the woman, and the man and the woman live together. I don't know. Jesus Christ. And it's just Billy Whitelaw. You just see her lips, and she's had to memorize this 20-minute nonsense. And I mean, it's experimental or whatever. I don't know. Beckett's never done it for me. I don't know what it is. Beckett and Pinter are my two big holes when it comes to theatre. I think Pinter less so. I have grown to Pinter an awful lot over the past year.
I often find I can't sit through a full Pinter.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't bear it. I especially in the theatre when you can't leave.
Yes, that's true. I went to watch Beckett's.
About other things.
I actually saw the penultimate performance of Daniel Radcliffe and Alan Cumming and Jane Horrocks in Samuel Beckett's Endgame at the Old Vic. I saw it the matinee, and then that evening was the final performance. Little did we know at the time, because on the Monday it was then everything cancelled for Corona.
Oh, everything was cancelled.
So I actually saw the last production of Magic Goes Wrong on the West End. And little did
Is it good?
It was excellent, and
Yes,
nobody knew. It was really weird. Because, like, obviously nobody knew. And so I won't say they were half-assed performances, because they weren't. But there was no celebration of, like, it being the final night, because they obviously had no idea. It was really weird. It was like being on the first day of the Titanic, and, like, everyone's just having a great time. What does Alan Partridge say on the first show? People forget about the Titanic, that before the sinking, there was 2 wonderful days of pleasant cruising. And that's what it was like watching those 2 shows on. I mean, a lot more people were wearing masks, but it was different. Yeah. Next song.
So the Rocky Horror Picture.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show. And the next song is "Damn It, Janet," as we alluded to. Just marvelous. I mean, if we were talking about rankings of songs to sort of blow our loads a little bit earlier.
You know what? I will make a ranking as we talk, and at the end we can probably.
We'll do it.
Probably all did.
We can declare.
But yeah, sorry. Carry on talking about "Damn It, Janet."
I mean, just a darling little number.
I also think it's another one that's a bit of an institution for everybody can kind of reference.
Especially.
Yeah, everyone can reference "Damn It, Janet" a bit.
Yes, they do.
And that's all we have to say about "Damn It,
Janet.
No,
actually, Me and My Ex, I showed her. We'll talk about this later. Shock Treatment, the sequel to Rocky Horror. She actually preferred it. And there's a duet in that, which is marvelous, called "Bitchin' in the Kitchen," and she was always like, "Put on Bitchin' in the Kitchen," and that's a great little number as well.
Sounds like a Lazy Town song.
No, it's like it's basically the ad break, and Brad and Janet play by different people. No, they're both good. They're not Barry Bostwick and Susan Sarandon, but they're both good, and they're both singing in the ad break. And they go, "Oh, toaster, don't you put the burn on me? Oh, trash can." and they're singing to the. It's very good. It's a nice little ditty. Shock Treatments. Let's talk about Shock Treatment now. Shock Treatment's really underrated. Shock Treatment's excellent. Richard O'Brian thinks it's better music-wise. So basically, the original plan was. It was a very ahead of its time, really. They wanted to do a whole series of musicals with the sort of, I mean, I say American Horror Story because that's the example that everybody knows. But the sort of same actors, different characters, different plots, but Brad and Janet would stay. So every time it would be Brad and Janet caught in this whimsical world that they found themselves in. Shock Treatment is all set in a TV studio. And it's Brad and Janet are put on a dating game, and it's marvelous. Rick Mayall's in it. He does.
Oh, wonderful! I love Rick Mayall.
Yeah, Shock Treatment. I don't know when I'll schedule it, but I'm sure we'll get around to Shock Treatment. I think it's very underrated. Back to Damn It, Janet. We obviously in the background have American Gothic. We have Curry and O'Brien and Quinn.
The Bray.
Say it again.
I made a very bad Glee reference there.
I play Frankenfurter, who is a kind of new variation on the mad scientist of horror films that we all know and love. It is parody, but it also, I play it and think it as a kind of grisly reality. And Frankenfurter, as a variation on Frankenstein, is obsessed with image and the way that things look, and but I see him and play him as a kind of grisly, real freak.
You've scarce been out of drag now for about close on 3 years. How sick of you are you of the part? How much now do you want to escape?
Well, it's sort of like Topsy, really. I mean, it's just growed, and one has to sort of go with it, really. I found making the film more annoying in that way than doing the play, because if you do the play, it's just 2 hours a day, and that you're actually in it doing it.
Whatever happened to her? I thought she was.
She got hit.
Talented, and she got hit by a car.
In Glee. Well, not in real
I'm
life.
not talking about the actress. Because she was in I Am Number 4, but that wasn't the big...
She was in I Am Number 4.
That wasn't the big Harry Potter franchise that they were expecting. Do you remember when Harry Potter was coming to a close and they were like, oh, what have we got? What have we got? And they made I Am Number 4 and The Host. I mean, Divergent, they actually continued incredibly.
Yeah.
Hunger Games was obviously more popular and I'd say better critically.
I think Well, that's the thing. The Hunger Games is actually... Out of all of them, The Hunger Games is actually all right. To be fair.
I remember Catching Fire being a solid film that I enjoyed watching.
The second one, I think we can all agree, is the best.
Yeah, I mean it's Philip.
As a film, yeah,
can't beat Philip. I mean that was terrible. I don't know why they do it when they do the whole finishing people off after they've died, because it's always noticeable. The only times it's not noticeable is Oliver Reed in Gladiator. And that's because they rewrote most of it.
That was the first time it was done as well.
It was one of the big ones. And then go on.
Sorry, carry on. No, you carry on.
And that's because they rewrote the script. They cut scenes. But Mockingjay, whatever part it was, it was, and then they changed the final scene. And it was like he's wrote a letter to you. And I thought, it's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the final film of one of the greatest actors we have come to know. And very upsetting stuff.
And that's a thing they took from Harry Potter as well, sort of splitting it into two parts unnecessarily.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
I remember at the time thinking, because at the time that Part 1 and Part 2 of Potters came out, I'd already gotten into The Godfathers, and I was like, why isn't this a 3.5 hour masterpiece? Like, why isn't this just
like an epic?
Yeah, why isn't this just cut the shit and make it...
Why isn't this Ben-Hur?
Yeah, I would I mean, the Harry Potter movies I have fond memories of. I don't think I've watched one since watching it in the cinema. Actually, I think there was a period... There was a period before Deathly Hallows where I really got into watching Half-Blood Prince a lot.
Oh, that's the worst one for me.
I know you keep saying that.
Yeah. Half-Blood Prince is probably the best actual film. I'm sorry.
I think it goes Half-Blood Prince, got Order of the Phoenix, but I can't pass comment. It's been a long time.
Goblet of Fire, Order of Phoenix, I think.
Goblet of Fire is an awful film.
I remember my Fridays at college consisted, in the first year at least, I was always finishing early on the Friday, and my Friday treat, I had a limited card. I would go to the cinema alone, and I would buy myself a milkshake. And I remember, and after a long week of waking up at like 6 o'clock, unless it was a good film, I'd fall asleep, and that was just like my treat. I would get to sleep in the cinema, and I would have my milkshake. And I remember falling asleep in whatever Fantastic Beast it was, and I thought, this is terrible. And when I woke up, Colin Farrell was changing into Johnny Depp in front of my eyes, and I thought, what movie have I missed here? What the hell is happening?
Whoa, that's a spoiler. I've not seen it. It's Colin Farrell, Johnny Depp the whole time.
Yeah, because you saw the advertisements for the second movie where he's Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
yes,
they're not making
I just assumed Colin Farrell wasn't in it. Oh.
No, Colin Farrell's in the first one.
Yes, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the last time I watched those films was on a plane back from New Zealand in 2018, and now I can't bring myself to consume anything with Harry Potter anymore.
Yeah. It is fascinating.
Transphobia.
Yeah. It is fascinating how they all those books just appeared and how nobody wrote them. It's incredible stuff.
It's sensational. Like the Bible. Sorry, carry on.
Yes. That and The Casual Vacancy. Nobody knows who wrote The Casual Vacancy. I remember that being the one where, because it's a mystery and it's a whodunit and you never find out who did it at the end. And I remember my mum being really, really annoyed and her saying, well, she's writing Harry Potters for the rest of her life if she can't end a book. And she was right. She is. Apart from those mystery novels that she writes under pseudonym. Robert, what is it? Robert Galbraith?
Robert Galbraith.
Yeah.
And doing the film, partly because I've never made one before, and so the work for me is total. I found it, for the first time, actually beginning to be a bit schizophrenic, in that if you spend the whole day in £1.50 of Max Factor, at the end of the day, when you wipe it off, there's always a little bit left in the cracks. I think the two hardest things have been, well, one, the kind of extravagances, physical extravagances that I used on the stage were very theatrical ones, and I've tried in the film to make them filmic ones. I mean that will do as a film gesture, and on the stage one would maybe do that. It's very much a musical, and a lot of the energy of the whole event is in the music. I mean, I think that it is pastiche, certainly, but I think it sort of stands on its own, too. I mean, it's beginning to more and more, which is very nice.
But enough about J.K. Rowling. Damn It, Janet leads us into There's a Light over at the Frankenstein place.
There's a light over at the Frankenstein place.
No, but you're right. There's not a shit song in it.
There's not a bad song in this musical, man. Because even over at the Frankenstein place, which you almost forget about, it comes back on, you realise it's a great, lovely, heartfelt song that somehow it makes no sense with its placing in the film. You haven't got a clue why this sort of sad minor key song is there, and yet it's beautiful.
It's tremendously good. It was, no, you're right. It was one that I sort of forgot about for a while in the interim between my 9 and 13 period. And, just a darling little song. And Sarandon's got a great voice. And I'm not saying it's the greatest voice in the world, but she's
very good. She's great in Enchanted. That's a good movie.
She is good in Enchanted. Susan Sarandon's great in anything.
Yeah.
She was having a little romance with Barry Bostwick during the filming, did you know?
No. He's changed, hasn't he? He looks a lot different.
Yeah, he's very butch now. Butch and grey-haired. And
looks like a country singer.
Yeah. Why did Barry Bostwick have a bigger career? Do you know what role Barry Bostwick originated?
I don't.
What?
Daddy! He was the original Broadway Zuko.
Oh, very good.
Actually.
And that's where he was poached for this film. I don't know where we see the link. Yes, he was the original. He originated Danny Zuko, incredibly. And at the time, obviously, Sarandon was married to Chris Sarandon, who Prince Humperdinck in Misery and the vampire in Fright Night, King Humperdinck rather. Well, it depends what part of the film. And then she kept the Sarandon name, and she had a thing with David Bowie for a while. She had a thing with director Louis Malle. And then eventually, obviously, she gets married to Tim Robbins, and they have a wonderful working relationship. Dead Man Walking, Bull Durham, and then they divorce as well, and now she's with... It leads to our theory from the last week's episode, There's Something About Mary. All of these actors and actresses date loads of famous people and then end up marrying somebody you've never heard of who doesn't. Suddenly, all the Wikipedia is blue, nothing. An oil magnate, a hotel proprietor, and it's like, oh, maybe okay. And now they're still with them. Over the Frankenstein place, incredible. And then here we go. I mean, incredible. There was a period where I was sort of...
I'm too edgy. The Time Walk's the popular one. It's not the best.
No, nobody likes the Time Walk. Time Walk's the worst song.
I think
it's great.
It's probably my least... No, it's not my least
favorite song in it. No, it's not.
I'm not.
There's plenty worse.
You're allowed to not like the Time Warp because it's clearly like a dance along and it's not like an actual musical song. But
it's great.
It's huge.
And it's great.
How do you think they came up with because you can imagine it was like we want a kind of like a dance along and that shows that they're all just insane, and like it proper jars Johnny and Brad.
It was because at the Royal Court it was 40 minutes long, and they needed every as the run continued, and they were learning their lines, and it's, you know, as plays and musicals are on longer, they famously shrink in time. Because unless it's like a Les Mis or a Phantom or whatever, where it's all orchestrated, but where it's a play and people pick up their cues and the lines become, you know, just second hand to you.
Yeah.
Plays famously lose like 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So as the run continued, they realised very quickly that they needed more songs. So Eddie's Teddy got written as well as a second hand sort of, we need another song. And yeah.
Do you have a favourite move in the Time Warp? Anybody?
I mean, there's something very visually aesthetically pleasing to the step to the right, and I greatly enjoy. And that's how you can tell if people know who the film, because they always go, "It's just a jump to the," and they go, "Stop it!" And
it's like, wait, if it's a step to the right, you got to be putting that foot out too.
Yeah, you've got to be doing it, Christopher. You've got to be doing the famous Biggins, Christopher Biggins in this movie.
It's when like people have no idea what to do to bring their knees in time, but you got to crash them inwards.
Yeah, because everybody starts, and then I'm still stood there waiting for the cymbal crash, and then where is the pelvic? And then they're like, "Oh, pelvic thrust. I know what to do here."
The pelvic. Yeah, but you don't go forward. You just it's just one, right? People love to like do a few. Now you got to give me one, right? And then get yourself around that really drives you insane.
My sneaky favourite part about Time Warp is how aggressive Charles Gray, the criminologist, gets as it continues. When he's on his desk, he really starts shouting.
When he's on his desk.
It's a bit like in, what's it called? It's in his Kiss. And she goes, what's the angry lyric in It's in His Kiss? It's like, I already told you. Oh, do your little thing, Will, and I was in my intro.
I was like, when we did Annie, which you came to see.
I did that. It was like a so close, so far moment. I saw Will in Annie, not even knowing who. How about the way he acts? Oh no, that's not the way. And you're not listening to a word I say. If he wants to know if he loves you so, it's in his kiss.
That's where it is.
Yes, I inadvertently. What was your? Are you going to say that there was an orgy at the end of your production of Annie? Or
no, if only. During the really boring.
Well.
I was 14. You know, there's the scenes where it's like the president and they're all round. Yes, I do. But there's a great song. There's a great song when they're all round the table.
Yeah, called Tomorrow.
There you go. All right.
Did you just forget the song Tomorrow from Annie?
Tomorrow.
There was a bit where this guy got so into it. I think he was just playing like a secretary around the table, but he suddenly grabbed the American flag from the set, stood on the table, and started dancing about.
Yeah, I saw that. Did that stay in, or was that an improv?
That was an improv.
I was there that night. There we go. So close, so far. I was there the night that. Marvelous stuff. Marvelous stuff. And here we go. Hey, do any of you guys know what a Madison? And then dun, 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 dun. Let's throw this out. Is this the best entrance to a movie character ever? Let's not talk about Frankenfurter for a second.
Lawrence of Arabia.
I was going to say that you've got Omar Sharif on his horse. But what can we throw out?
To be fair, there is Danny Zuko's little.
Yeah, that's
iconic.
And those three women who are just, where's it looking?
I'm trying to think of other iconic character entrances.
I'm a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a few, Tom.
I mean,
you know these like the back of your hand.
Basic Instinct, Catherine Trammell, Sharon Stone has a great entrance.
Yeah, that is true.
I actually, young Rose in Titanic has a great where we finally meet Kate Winslet and she lifts the hat up.
Yeah.
However, I also like old Rose. She's just doing clay. She's just like, turn that up.
You've got Captain Jack Sparrow acting like he's the captain of some grand ship.
Yes.
But when we realise it's a little fly bird that is sinking.
My favourite thing as a kid when I was on holiday at pools was to do a Jack Sparrow impression and just fall into the water. So I was like, Paris, and then I'd fall into the water. It's just very, very satisfying to me.
I think two of my favourite character introductions. You've obviously got Heath Ledger. That's a good one when he takes the mask off.
Good.
But I think it's got to be Quentin Jaws when he scratches the chalkboard. That's a good one.
That's very good.
And then the woman who looks like my grandma Chris who goes, you're looking for a Tommy card, you're fishing for Tommy cards and you get no, for 20 I'll kill him. 10 I'll bring him home.
I can't stand any more of this. First you spurn me for Eddie, and then you throw him off like an old overcoat for Rocky. You show people up and then you spit them out again. I loved you. Do you hear me? I loved you. And what did it get me? Yeah, I'll tell you, a big nothing. You're like a sponge. You take, and drain others of their love and emotion. Yeah, well, I've had enough. You've got to choose between me and Rocky. So name got to the rocks in his head.
It's not easy having a good time.
Wonderful, Robert Shaw.
No, yeah, it might be the best character introduction in cinema.
And here we are, Frankenfurter. I mean,
is this the best song in musical history? It might be.
It's definitely up there. The pulsating drum beat, the lowering elevator, Susan Sarandon's wonderful little, I'm cold and I'm wet and I'm just plain scared. And there's nothing to be worried about, Janet. And that zoom in and we're in and we meet the incomparable Tim Curry, who's going to elevate, you could make the argument, elevate this film from a very enjoyable farce to a masterpiece of the medium.
It is those little beats interspersed with his first lyrics, the little da-da.
He's just got the physicality down to a T.
Yeah.
That's great.
Every little dance move it looks semi-improvised, but is so specific. Even the little twirl of the mixing the bowl, and just absolutely flawless. You know, it's a wonderful example of fourth wall breaking, where it isn't obnoxious.
I love the "How about that." That's for me. That's
my favourite part of the film.
How about that?
The water cup.
Babies, don't you bet it.
The water cup on the screen into How about that?
And we have to talk about anticipation, which is
incredible.
One of there is nothing else I can think that kind of compares to that level of just sheer
power,
genius. Yeah,
I have to hold. I mean, it's. I'll be purely sexual. It's an orgasmic release when you are in the theatre or at the cinema and everybody's going, "Say it, say it," and then they fight. It is like, release. You're like, it's so wonderful.
Very erotic tease. Just the anticipation, and you're just there like, oh my God, you have complete control of me right now. There's nothing I can do about it.
I have not said the word anticipation without a pause in the middle of it since 2013. It just doesn't happen. I say, Oh, yeah, no. Well, there's lots of anticipation. And it's the rarity that somebody say it, but when they do, God, it's good.
God, that's good.
God, that's deep. Have you lish pies?
But and obviously the closing line to that song is I'll remove the cause but not the symptom. I'm gonna have to go listen to this song.
I'll remove the cause. Again, another marvelous little
fantastic characterization.
It's a flawless characterization. I've just been recently. I mean, those who have read the blog will have read it by now. But I was ranking the top performances of all time, and just to make it easier, I did female and male. I did 3 by decade, and I allowed myself 8 cheats. And Tim Curry was for the 70s was the first name I wrote down. No, that's a lie. It went Pacino, Godfather, then Curry to Rocky Horror.
Because I suppose it again, not to. I don't believe this podcast is the place for deep cutting discussion of gender binary.
That's true.
You know, where are you placing that if you're talking about male and female performances? Do you know what I mean? That the entire point is that you can't really place it.
This is true. Tim Curry has commented that he's pansexual. Frankenfurter, not himself.
Oh, I thought Tim Curry was pan. I was like,
yeah, fair enough.
Oh, I mean, of course, Frankenfurter's pansexual.
Yes,
I think do you think he gives one tiny little shit what anybody's got anywhere?
And aliens.
Yes.
I have no doubt yourself. They have multiple alien orgies.
It doesn't matter. If you fit, you're getting it. And that's Frankenfurter's entire...
Yes, are all aliens humanoid? Are the Transylvanians?
You joined us today on the big question.
Are all
aliens humanoid? If we're talking in real life,
they all hold orgies.
No, would probably be your answer.
Yes,
chances are not all aliens are humanoid,
which makes the sexual element even freakier.
Even better.
Yeah, there's multiple. Imagine some of the sexually satisfying aliens that are out there.
Oh, they're. It doesn't matter. No, yeah, sorry, that was my mother walking past.
It's all right.
No, yeah, I'm sure there is everybody's dream
ideal
out
alien
there on some other planet. Yeah. You know, one that has 8 arms and a sucker on each. I don't know.
It'd be one of those things where you'd look at it and you'd go, I mean, well, no, half of, all sex is the physical attraction. But half? I don't know if it worked on that.
You don't know the science.
But you'd look at the alien and you'd go, that's the thing that's my ideal. And then it'd start and you'd go, oh! And
and you wouldn't be forming real words.
And then you'd be smoking next to the alien. I don't smoke anyway, but for some reason the sex was so good with this alien that I started smoking. They're the one parts where I consider smoking. Is I talked with previous guest
like Blackadder.
Previous guest David Robinson and me have the exact same thing, where if it wasn't for the cancer, the money, and the smell of your breath, we would smoke like chimneys.
If it wasn't for all of the negative aspects of smoking, I'd be a smoker. Because it looks cool.
Yeah, but it was always my theory of it doesn't look cool anymore. This is the problem. It's not Mad Men. We're not all in smoky 60s lounges in tight dresses and wonderful suits, and you're behind a shed. And so,
yeah, that's the thing. You're not allowed to just light up in the pub anymore.
no, this is true. And you can't even vape in a pub anymore. Oh, world's gone mad.
Okay, what's the next song?
The next song is Sword of Damocles. We sort of a bit of a 10-minute stretch of nothing into Sword of Damocles. I'm going to say one of my changes now, and it's not a change for this film. I think it's a wonderful change from the show. I think Rocky works an awful lot better as a grunter who sings one song. I hate when Rocky speaks in the stage show, because he's this like Londoner and he's like, piss off. It's so annoying, and it works so much better as just and he's like, I think Peter Hinwood is an underrated performance in this film. I think he does a marvellous job as Rocky, as well as, being obviously muscly and just an ideal muscly man. Marvellous stuff. What do we think of Sword of Damocles? I probably need, again, we've declared multiple times that there's not a bad song in this film. However, are we putting this near the bottom, should we say?
Yeah.
I'd say we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Sword of Damocles is hanging over my head. Like a roller coaster. And then into I Can Make You a Man.
A weakling
phenomenal.
Weighing 98 pounds.
Pounds. Sand in his face. And kicked
to
the ground. We're not talking about hospitality. Hospitality. What's your favourite?
Fantastic characterisation.
Yeah. I'll spoil a fun fact. It was a cross between his mother's telephone voice and the Queen mother.
James Mason.
And a bit of James Mason, yes. But he commented himself that it was his mother and the Queen was the... And in a way...
The Queen mother. And Thatcher, even though she wasn't around back then.
She was around. She's always there.
Hanging over me.
I was just writing another essay about Oscar wins, and I just went for a full paragraph bitching about how Meryl Streep was terrible as Thatcher. And it's like, yeah, why did she win?
Thatcher was terrible as Thatcher.
Thatcher was a terrible person. Again, not to get too political, I can't remember who I was talking. Oh, it was on the show. I was re-listening to a show. And it was on our election podcast with Amelia, and we were lamenting the fact that you can literally pinpoint Margaret Thatcher as the reason why we don't have many female leaders. I mean, there is obviously inherent sexism that will never be removed.
Very inherent.
But if Margaret Thatcher was a good prime minister and not, I'll say it, an evil witch of a woman who did terrible things, then I think we would have had, I think a fair shout at a few more female prime ministers. And the fact that Theresa May herself, I won't say evil witch of a woman, but she's not great.
She was bad at her job.
She was terrible bad at her job. And, if we're getting really political, thank God she had Brexit to turn us all away from her bloody Windrush shit. She should be,
at least, yeah.
She should be thanking Brexit, for people.
For not only making her life hell for 2 years.
Yes. She was the scapegoat. I've always said it.
I mean, she was definitely a scapegoat, but she's also a bad person.
Oh yeah, it's a bad person. Terrible.
Bad person, bad prime minister.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
back to
Rocky Horror.
We're like an hour and a half in
into the
we
film.
Are something like that.
Oh, it's good stuff. I Can Make You a Man is excellent. Then Hopatootie, Meatloaf.
Oh, Meatloaf.
What I call it a cameo because he's in for a song and then he's back out. He's killed. What a role! What a way to.
It's great.
And it's another one of those points about this film, which you just sat there like, what? You know what I mean? You don't know what's going on. You don't know where this character's come from. You don't know what he's doing, but you're enjoying it.
And you don't care because the song's great. You can, you think after a couple of watches, you notice the throwaway lines and you see that he's got the cut on his head from where he's clearly had his brain taken out. But by the time you've watched it a few times, the whole fact that there's a brain transfusion doesn't even cross your mind.
Don't register. But we do really have to ask, what did ever happen to Saturday Night? You know, they make a fair point, and I don't have the answer.
Answer deck out on anymore, are they?
Buddy Holly was singing his very last song. You put your arms around your girl and you try to sing along. You feel pretty good. You really had a good time. Yeah, Meatloaf for me is just excellent in this one. Meatloaf's great. The song's great. It's just a great film, isn't it? Into I Can Make You a Man reprise. Then we have another sort of stretch without a song, and then we come back with, oh, good God, one of the most erotic songs ever written, performed so brilliantly and sexually by Susan Sarandon.
I will say this once again. My introduction to this song via
Matthew Morrison.
Oh yeah, the Glee. What?
I thought doesn't she sing it? Not Kleptomania. Germ Lady.
Yeah.
They sing it together.
Yeah. And then you've got like
Brittany and what's her name? Brittany and
Santana. They're just watching.
They're watching, and that's weird.
Watching,
yeah.
These are teachers.
But I suppose that's kind of that's kind of
the fun.
I mean, how else were they going to? Sorry, I'm moving around.
It's all right.
How else are they going to mirror sort of the?
I don't know. Maybe have Stephen Tobolowsky, Ned Ryerson from Groundhog Day watching. Just don't have two of the students watching two of the teachers going at it. Well, no, they don't go at it, do they? That's the
they don't go at it. That's the point. Yeah,
she's dating John Stamos.
R.I.P. Naya Rivera.
Indeed,
while we're here.
very
rest in peace. She was fantastic as Santana.
True,
and she was very much. I mean, not to make this about me, not to make it crass, but very much a sexual awakening for 11-year-olds.
Oh yeah,
Santana's entire character.
Yeah. Exceptionally, which leads us back to Rocky Horror, because
back to
Susan Sarandon, probably in Rocky Horror, is probably one of mine. I mean, good God! I mean, I can pinpoint it. There's definitely Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. There's definitely this. Probably Rebecca De Mornay in Risky Business. And it wasn't just all 70s and 80s people. Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street was obviously an astoundingly good-looking woman. But also, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm trying to prove that I'm not just a whore. All of those performances are also really good performances, and so I always found myself justifying it by going, well, no, actually, they're more than titillation. I think all four are really, really good in those roles and do wonderful work.
You're not only attracted to the pure sexual aspect, but also the outstanding talent that exudes from these people.
I'm like Burt Reynolds in Boogie Nights when he's talking about how he wants to make a porno that people enjoy the story to the extent that they stay after they've come. And I'm like, they're very attractive, but I keep rewatching them because they're excellent. Will, do you have any initial pinpoints that you can remember to throw out?
Well, I've always said Uma Thurman in.
Yes, you have.
In Batman and Robin. That was
Uma Thurman in Batman and Robin, yeah.
I can see it.
Why does Frank have that extraordinary accent?
Why? Well, we tried all kinds of things. When I first read it, I read it German. I was very like this, and sort of Middle European, and sort of, and that was a little used, I think. So then we tried it American. And it was Jim Sharman, the director's idea, to make him the sort of Belgravia hostess with the mostest. So and I remembered being on a bus once when a very sort of Debbie lady in a headscarf turned to a friend who was sitting in front of me, and she said, "Do you have a house in the town or a house in the country?" And the phrase had always stuck in my mind, and so that's the voice that I used.
I see.
It became a sort of trademark of him, really.
We move on.
Moving on
to Eddie's Teddy. Another great little number.
Yeah,
a great scene, the dinner scene, fantastic stuff. Just a wonderful prop work with the book, the criminologist's book. You know, when it has the Last Supper on it before the dinner scene, and then it has all of the Meatloaf, the candid picture of him taking heroin, the motorbike books, the 45 single that's just been stuck into the book. I don't know for what record. It's always confused me because he goes straight through it and he goes, rock and roll porn. I think there's a comma because some people sing it as rock and roll, porn, and a motorbike. But some people just go straight through. Rock and roll porn. It's a crazy underworld of the porn world. Rock and roll porn. Shooting up the junk. Eddie, clearly a very terrible speller. The rampant misspelling. I mean, I guess we can put it down to him
probably on
losing
account
half of his brain.
The brain transfusion, yeah.
And has he written it in his own blood?
Probably.
He has to, because it looks
Knowing
like
Richard
blood.
O'Brian, yes.
Very, very Crystal Maze, Richard O'Brian. Did we know Richard O'Brian from the Crystal Maze before Rocky Horror? Because I think
I was always Crystal Maze before Rocky Horror.
Challenge.
Right, it's my love of the harmonica came from.
Do. One of the fun facts I found, and I just didn't bring it up except now, is somebody put the crystal dome at the top of Frankenfurter's castle is very reminiscent of the crystal dome from Richard O'Brien's game show, The Crystal Maze. Okay, calm down. And then we have Planet Schmanet. Maybe my sneaky favourite. I really
especially
love
that final sort of bit where he comes in again. Oh,
a mental fuck can be nice. The only F word in the film.
The entire thing, is that true?
For such a reputation as a filthy flick. And
this is why, again, it comes back to that. You know, it is obviously filthy, but that's not what they were like going for. They weren't going to shock. They were going to shock. They weren't going to disgust and just completely throw away all of the key. There was nuance and purposeful generic convention within this, and that's shown by the fact that if they only use the F word once, that is for a reason, because they knew that the rest of the film and the aesthetic, they didn't need to throw out words like that to shock, especially because it was the 70s. So they didn't need to throw out words like that to shock audiences, because they knew they were doing such a good job in every single other aspect.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And now we're into the floor show. Roast in My World. Flawless. Is there a better yearbook quote that nobody has ever used because people would call you a knobhead and cringy and corny than "Don't Dream It, Be It"? And it is such a simple, and you can, in out of context, sure, it's corny, cringy, or whatever. But when you are in that pool and Tim Curry starts saying, "Don't dream it, be it," it's the most transcendent, beautiful sentiment.
I mean, imagine actually being in there, imagine committing to all of this, and imagine trying to be getting back to your home planet and just,
it's
there would be nothing
tantamount,
like it.
For me, I rewatched Carousel last night, it's tantamount to the final You'll Never Walk Alone. It's that sort of beautiful, sweeping, yet simple phrase that don't dream it, be it. It is wonderful little Titanic, just splashing about, just having a whale of a time. Into, I mean, that incredible. Who do you think has the best verse in Roast in My World? Is it Columbia? Is it Rocky? Is it Brad? Is it Janet?
I'm pretty biased towards Brad because I would love to do that.
Yeah, you're a real Brad. I can see you as Brad.
You are a Brad.
I am a Brad.
I
think
Janet's not coming to you.
I believe us both to be Frankenfurters, Tom.
I know. It's a lamentable shame.
Probably.
I think there can only be one. Highlander. I think it gets better. I think Columbia, I don't know what it is about her shrill voice. I think it works and it's not too annoying, but I think I'm glad that she never had a full song. I don't know what it is. I think it's it's not too shrill that it's petrifyingly annoying, but it's very close. And then I think it gets better with Rocky's verse, and then I think it gets better with Brad's sort of change of tone. And let's see. Great legs on Barry Bostwick. Good on him. I mean, and then it kicks it up a whole nother notch with Sarandon. Whoa, I feel released. And she just takes us home, and then the king, our prevailing master, comes forward and takes us home.
Our rightful deity.
Our God.
Our God.
Comes forward and then kicks us back up a notch with ma. And that's one of my favourite little dance moves, his little jerk off two people. Shake it to the dance.
He's just giving it that.
And when they all jump out the pool, it's just one of my all-time.
That shot of him coming out of the pool is great, singing towards the camera. I love that.
Susan's having a whale of a time, just kicking her legs. And that lovely little orgy. Well, it's not an orgy, but I mean, you could call it an orgy, I guess.
That lovely little orgy.
Which was the name of my autobiography. And when they're all kissing in the pool and they're all swimming through each other's legs, and it's just a great moment. And we now come to my funeral song.
Oh, I'm going home.
I think it might be. I think I want to come in to Concerto de Orangeoise.
Yeah.
I want to be lowered to I'm Going Home, and then play something a bit more upbeat on the way out. I honestly think every time I hear it, I just weep. I think it's Curry's performance, and it's the power of those people coming in on the deck chairs and with the autographs and everybody just watching him and tears in their eyes. And the one thing I don't like is Patricia Quinn yawning, but that's perfect for the character. Patricia Quinn doesn't like that either. She said, I would never dream of yawning in real life. He was doing such a wonderful job. He was just marvellous. And I was enjoying it as much as anybody. And Jim Sharman, the director, said yawn. And I said, oh, do I have to? And that's how she actually sounds. I listened to the audio commentary this morning. And just such a beautiful song. Just sensational. And then we have, for us anyway, Superheroes. And then we have science fiction double feature reprise with that tinkling little piano and the beautiful globe, and we have the roll call.
The late night.
It's just beautiful. And then we have a reprise of Time Warp, but instrumental. I think the instrumental is a perfect choice. I don't know. I've always really enjoyed it. I thought it's too jolly to have the singing as well, but the play out, I think it's marvelous. Right. Okay. Let's do some categories. Is Sweet Transvestite the best song?
Yes.
I think so. I think it has to be.
We don't want to cut any songs, but if we're cutting one, what are we cutting?
Yeah, Sword of Damocles.
Damocles.
I mean, yeah, Sword of Damocles. Although Rocky can have a song.
Yes.
I want him to have something when he emerges.
Changes much.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that you've got those three back to back.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
And, I mean, the Americans did cut superheroes, so.
Yeah. For the wrong. I think that you need that. At this ending, people forget, I think, how sad the final 15 minutes is. I'm going home into superheroes, into the criminologist's final line says more about the plight of humanity and the meaningless of life than some, Albert Camus novels. And crawling on the planet's face, a race of insects called the human race, lost in time, lost in space, and meaning. That's pure poetry, and it's at the end of this kitschy little show that's had you dancing the time warp for an hour.
Yeah.
And just having great, sexy fun. And now we're contemplating our place in the universe. I think it's a really underrated film in that regard, actually.
Yeah, people when you say Rocky Horror, people don't immediately conjure up that kind of aspect of it. I mean, me neither. I don't think any of us do, really. No, not immediately. Anyway, you think about the fishnets.
Yeah.
And you think about the hair, and you think about
there are a lot of people who haven't seen the film or know it by osmosis, who, if they watched the 10-minute time warp Sweet Transvestite, they'd go, "Oh yeah, no, I knew about all this," and and that's the film that even actually the first 20 minutes, because Damn It Janet is well known. That's the film that people know. I think if you stick with them and come up to the lab with us, I think you lose a lot of people. Maybe not lose a lot of people, but I think it's definitely a different film than what it has become.
Yeah, and what they'd expect from it.
Yes, definitely.
For definite.
What's the change? I think maybe it has a touch of a second act problem. Maybe spacing wise. I'm being really pernickety. I think the film flows very well, and I think the double bed comedy scene pulls you through as funny as any.
That's great.
By the way, that on stage, very well done. Them stood up with the bed behind them. It's very well done.
This is good. I've never liked the line when we met in his science exam because he's clearly run out of It's clearly run out of rhymes. I'll give him. What?
Who meets someone in an exam?
I'll give him panic. That's as much leeway as maybe give it the eye and then panic. That's fine, because at least it's the same thing. But exam it? I'm not allowing that. I'm sorry, O'Brien. I'm sorry. Any changes, Will?
Yeah, just maybe there's a few areas there and about that just drop the energy a bit.
The water went in my nose. Oh, oh goodness me. Yes, Will.
Thank you, Tom. There's just some bits that have a drop in energy, but you can't really help it. Just probably because you've got some absolute. It's because the movie itself takes a tone turn halfway through, because it's all fun, and then eventually that's what it does, and so I suppose it's only natural, really.
It's only natural that I should want to. What Crowded House, incredible stuff. Sam, any changes?
I mean, not off the top of my head, really. No, I think I understand the point of reprises, but do they add any overall value?
Oh, I'm a big reprise man. If
you've
got a reprise,
I like a mega mix too.
If you've got a dark reprise to a previously happy song, you've won me over. It's a Fine Life reprise in Oliver. Some living, what you deserve, you get. I'm sold. You've got it.
In my A level, Tom, my drama piece, and my character song was Heroes, and then I died to the Peter Gabriel version, just like that.
Yeah, but I didn't like that because
because your piece was bad, Will.
No, because of Peter Gabriel. I mean, you had the payoff of playing the actual Bowie at the end.
Yeah.
But it's always like, oh, just play the Bowie again. And I think, but I did enjoy your piece, Will, and Peter Gabriel's great. So there we go. What other we've sort of thrown the categories to the wind this week, but what categories should we return to? Will's favourite building or set? Hey. Got one. Let's be specific, Will. Rooms.
Yes. I've done. Yes. Wait. I think it's the theatre. It's the theatre.
Yes.
Oh, the theatre is good.
It took me a real few watches to notice that it's the same room as the Time Warp.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
No, it is. It's definitely because you see the Mona Lisas again, and
I've never thought of it like that.
And I was like, oh, of course, they don't have the budget.
How about the four-poster bed? I know this is Will's category, but I'm a fan of the four-poster bed and the way the light shines through it.
It's Will's category. It's Will's category, unless I think he's wrong, and then I overthrow him, and it becomes
Which
Will
is
and
most
Tom's
of the
favourite.
time.
It's not most of the time. It's a rarity. It's a rarity. Best line, have we got any we want to throw out? I'm a big fan of A Mental Mindfuck Can Be Nice, and as I've talked about, the final criminologist refrain.
Yeah.
What about lyrics? What have we got? Any really specific favourite lyrics that we enjoy?
Give me a section.
I mean, the two slowed down bits in Sweet Transvestite. Why don't you? I've been, bite, that part, and obviously I've come up to
I mean, it's all of the song, but like he's just a little brought down because when you knocked, he thought you were the candy man.
I actually enjoy because in the stage show he then goes, "Didn't you, freaky?" And I don't like that line. I never have, and I'm glad that it's not in the film.
I'm just trying to go through all the songs in my head, like. Michael Rennie was ill the day the earth stood still. I just think that's a good rhyme.
It's great stuff. There's lots of great rhymes, which makes Exam It even all the more infuriating.
I really like, well, just because it's my favourite part of the song, but in Planet Schmanet Janet.
That line, sorry to interrupt, that line, Planet Schmanet Janet, what a great line.
Yeah. And then, but the bit where he comes in again, you got to block. We'll take my advice. You better wise up, Janet. I love that. That's
Your
great.
apple pie don't taste too
nice.
Sorry, I'm just trying to. I know there's a line I love in "I Can Make You a Man," and I'm just trying to find what it is because I can't think of it at the top of my head.
Makes me wanna. Ooh, shake.
No, it's he'll eat nutritious, high protein, and swallow raw eggs. Try to build up his shoulders, his chest, arm, and legs. I just think the rhyme's good. Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. My wheels. I can't move my wheels. I love the turning point for Sarandon. I'm a muscle fan. One of my favourite call-outs is, I don't like men with too many muscles. Just one big one. I've always liked that. And I love in the middle of Hot Patootie, the old woman who goes, "Lovely party." I've always liked her. Any other ones you want to throw out?
In Touch It, Touch Me, obviously, when she's like, "I've only ever kissed before," and it's the, "You mean," and it's like, you're not saying anything, but we all know what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's clever. I think it's good. It's just a little.
That's got the filthiest lyric. It always leads to trouble and seat wetting. Oh my God!
Seat wetting.
It's the filthiest thing in the show.
In the Glee version, they had to change it to bed wetting.
That doesn't even make any sense. Every time I get horny, I piss myself. Which is also going to play, which I want. We've talked about my funeral song, but I want that on my gravestone. Every time I get horny, I piss myself. A lovely father and a lovely husband.
And you wonder why you have difficulties.
Myself. Is that the best song that everybody loves to sing along to, but can only sing along when they know that nobody else can hear them?
When I think about you.
I'm sure she wouldn't mind. Ava has a great story where she was singing along to that song in the shower, and her wonderful American mother, Deb, who was just a wonderful woman, knocked on the door and said, "I hope you're not."
Imagine the embarrassment.
Yeah, it's just a great song. She's just a big fan of Austin Powers. So, and who isn't?
I've tasted blood and I want more.
Ooh, yeah.
She don't mean blood. She means sex.
Sex. I'd sex. I want more sex. Less of a good lyric. I've had sex and I want more sex. A few fun
Which is
facts.
why we didn't write Rocky Horror.
Yeah,
Sorry,
this is true. When Barry Bostwick pounds his fist on the table during the dinner scene, he accidentally pounded on the hand of Susan Sarandon. I'm glad that didn't say he accidentally pounded Susan Sarandon. The reaction from Sarandon is prominent and real. She got her revenge, accidentally, by stepping on Bostwick's foot with her spike heel during the floor show scene. His reaction is also visible. I think she more than got his revenge, because I was in a pantomime where I played a very racially sensitive portrayal of a Chinese man called You Done Wrong. I know, not good. And the dame, wonderful Malcolm, oh my God, in the 12 Days of Christmas number, I was wearing these slippers and just whack with his heels, and my big toe, I don't want to say, just absolutely terrible. It was the theatrical debut of Tim Curry. In an interview with Terry Gross on her radio program, Fresh Air, Tim Curry said that he got to meet Prince Charles and Princess Diana because she loved Curry in this movie. She requested the meeting whilst he was in a production of Love for Love that they attended. Curry recalled that he was placed at the end of the receiving line, and while Prince Charles only vaguely recognized Curry from seeing him on television, Princess Diana told Curry with a wicked smile that Rocky Horror had quite completed my education.
Diana, Lady Di, stop that.
Every story about Diana is just great. One of my favourite, people share it all the time, is like, Princess Diana wasn't allowed to do the PE day race. She won. I've always liked those. Yeah. And they always share the one where she's wearing that incredibly attractive, beautiful black dress. It's like,
that
Diana wore
the
this.
revenge dress.
Yeah, Diana wore this the day after. And I was like, oh, what a wonderful,
what a woman.
Well, we're getting a film about her, aren't we? Kristen Scott Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
And the wonderful director of Jackie is directing it. And I adored Jackie. And I think that Kristen Scott Thomas, when good, is excellent, actually. Dr. Everett Scott crashes through the wall because the set builders forgot to put an extra door in the lab set.
That's quite fun.
Now, are you ready for this alternate reality? Steve Martin auditioned for the role of Brad Majors.
Oh.
Can you imagine a world where Steve Martin's first role is this?
Martin.
I mean, I can completely see it.
Yeah. I could just picture him singing Damn It, Janet right now.
Mm.
Yeah, you can, can't you? But that's a fun alternate reality to imagine.
Richard O'Brian was concerned that Meatloaf might not be able to handle Hot Patootie. O'Brian brought out the music and handed it to him, saying, "It's okay to flub a few lines. No one in the London cast has ever sung the whole thing correctly." He looked at it, replied, "What's the problem?" Then sang the whole thing without skipping a beat.
Yeah.
Who is singing this song wrong? I don't get it.
Me, probably. It was an audition song for Little Shop of Horrors because they thought, it's very similar to the Dentist song.
Yeah.
And it's very, very high. It's very high. Well, it's Meatloaf, isn't it?
Realistic bed. I think I could get that. And that's when I met.
Yeah, it's Meatloaf. He's a power ballad singer. You have that that push through that
Yeah.
also goes up. You have to. Yeah, but I don't know how he thought. Had you not heard any of Meatloaf's songs at this point?
I don't know. It's
'Cause
75. When did Bat Out of Hell actually come out? I'll do
have
it.
a
It's
look.
all right. I'm on it. It was the 70s. I remember that. Oh, I remember that. I was there. I remember when Bat Out of Hell came out.
I remember that.
Bat Out of Hell studio album, 77. So I don't actually know what Meatloaf had done prior to this.
What came first? Can you check out his discography?
Yes. What do you mean, what came first?
Like, what was his first album? Was it Bat Out of Hell?
Yeah. No, his first album... No, you're right, was Bat Out of Hell. So,
It was Bat.
so Meatloaf was a name at this time. So what was he a name because of?
You know what? God, I don't know. I don't think any of us know.
I'll have to get up on my Meatloaf. I mean, the best Meatloaf song is
Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
no, Dead Ringer for Love. I'm a sucker for Dead Ringer
Oh,
for Love.
you are very Dead Ringer for Love. I can see that. I don't know who you are, what you do, where you go, you know.
Where me and Ava, that's our famous. We call it our famous karaoke song, but we have yet to actually have a chance to perform it at karaoke.
I don't know anything about you, baby.
What's your everything I'm dreaming of? I always thought it was. However, she always gets annoyed because I always thought it was rock and rolling through, but it's not. It's rock and roll and brew.
Yeah, it's rock and roll and brew. They don't mean nothing when they compare them next to you.
Tom's big question. Oh no, I tell a lie. We've got more fun facts. Mick Jagger wanted to play Frankenfurter.
Oh,
Not
dear.
funny.
Yes. No.
No.
Vincent Price was offered the role of the criminologist, but turned it down due to scheduling conflicts. He was very interested because he saw the West End show and loved it. That would.
Where do I keep thinking that Nick Parsons was the criminologist? Did he play him?
Who's Nick
Or have
Parsons?
Nicholas Parsons. I think he died a few months ago. He hosted Just a Minute.
Everybody's been the criminologist because they can just get whoever they wanted and
He's the narrator
book
in West End revival of Woods.
Oh, right.
The really bad one.
The one in the park, the one in the park.
Oh no,
Regent's
it must
Park?
have been the original West End then. That was
with
bad.
Imelda.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just reading about Meatloaf, and he kind of just wanted to be a general performer. And he joined a few bands, but then he got cast in Hair in 1972.
Hair seems to be the breeding ground for all of this because Tim Curry and Richard O'Brian met on the London production of Hair.
Hair. And then, because I suppose it's the songs are it's the same, that kind of power 70s kind of glam rock type thing that's in Hair. But and then he got cast in Hair, and then joined another band and got a single out of it, and then rejoined Hair, and then got cast in Rocky Horror, and then started writing Bat Out of Hell.
Which leads us to this fun fact. In the stage show, there's a few double castings, as we talked about. Magenta is also the usherette at the start, but Eddie is a double role with Dr. Scott. And Meatloaf was actually quite disappointed to learn that he wasn't going to be playing Von Scott as well. I said, you're making a huge mistake, and I still think they did. Even though the actor was fine, the way it was in the play was that Eddie and Dr. Scott really looked alike, so you knew it was his nephew, and I was a really good Dr. Scott. So, maybe a bit of hubris, I don't know. I'd watch it, obviously. Writer and director Jim Sherman said in an interview that he got a much more high-spirited, jubilant performance from the cast during the Don't Dream It Be It underwater sequence because it was so cold in the studio that he used the incentive, the wilder it is, the sooner you'll get out of there. This, of course, led to Susan Sarandon catching pneumonia.
Nice.
Yeah. Most of the actors and actresses weren't told about the prop corpse of Eddie under the dining room table. When it was revealed during filming, their looks of horror are genuine. The only three who knew were Curry, O'Brien, and Meatloaf, who had to pose to make the prop.
Dummy, the cast, the prop.
The prop. Right. I do believe that's it. We synopsis of a sequel. We do have shock treatment.
Yes, we do.
But,
I'll have to give it a watch.
It's great. It's really good. It's solid. It's really good. And you get O'Brien again. You get Patricia Quinn again. You get little Nell again. It's a really good film. It's definitely a great. I've got it here, and a beautiful release from Arrow Video, and I've just look at this, and it's beautiful, and it's got the CD as well. It's got a little booklet, and it's got a full poster. Look at this. I've got Denton. And also it's got those little mismatched cards where you can put different people's faces on different people's bodies with all of the characters. So that's great too. It's just everybody watch Shock Treatment. Everybody watch Shock Treatment. It's really, really good. And in a way, I wish that it was more successful so that we could have got the long series of different musicals with Brad and Janet and Richard O'Brian and Patricia Quinn and all of them. It would be marvellous. It would be marvellous. Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on again.
No, it's a pleasure as always. Thank you so much.
I believe the next time you are joining us, schedule-wise anyway, unless you come on for an earlier episode, is in our Tarantino fortnights, is Pulp Fiction. So if we see you before then, we'll see you before then. But for the meantime, thank you very much for coming on. Will, have you any final thoughts on the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Oh, it's been very fun. Thank you, Sam, again.
No, thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Next week, next episode rather, I'm losing my peep show virginity.
Exciting. Very exciting.
We'll see what all that's about. Hopefully it's as good as you're making out, Will. Because if it's not, sit through 9 seasons of it. But I don't ever. People need to realize this. I'll make this point again now. People need to realize I don't sit down for anything wanting it to be bad. Who wants to sit through 2 hours of shit? I don't get it.
I saw Joker.
No, Joker was okay. Joker was all right.
Yeah, it wasn't shit.
No. It wasn't Taxi Driver or King of Comedy, though.
It wasn't Taxi Driver or King of Comedy or the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
It wasn't. Or The Graduate or any of the other movies I have to hand.
Or Shock Treatment.
Or Shock Treatment. This is very true. Just like in Cats, where it ended with Judi Dench reminding us that a cat is not a dog, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is not Taxi Driver. Ba 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 ba.